Manasupe passes on in lay. Special talkback show in tribute to radio legend. And Mount Hagen switches to Telikom 4G.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seyer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Monday's news. Sir Manasupe Zurino, a man described as a hard taskmaster, a brilliant administrator and strategist, passed away at his lay home this morning. Sir Manasupe was one of Morobe Province's longest-serving provincial administrators, and in the later years of his career, he served as Chief Secretary to the government. He was forced into early retirement in 2016 after an ongoing battle with Parkinson's disease, which hampered his ability to speak and move. Family members and friends gathered at the family home at Erico in Lay this morning as early as 7 o'clock. The Morobe Provincial Administration came to a standstill as senior officers and members of the Provincial Executive Council arrived to pay their respects to a man highly regarded across various circles. Hours later, another prominent member of the family, younger cousin and Speaker of Parliament Theo Zurino, arrived at the family home to meet with other senior family members to decide on funeral arrangements. Mr. Zurino said his brother had a brilliant mind and had a lot more years to give to the country, and that it was unfortunate that he passed. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill also offered his deepest condolences to the family of the late Sir Manasupe Zurino. On behalf of the nation, the Prime Minister said thank you to Sir Manasupe for his tireless work for Papua New Guinea. Meanwhile, opposition leader Don Polies says the loss of late Sir Manasupe Zurino is a loss for Papua New Guinea. Polies highlighted Sir Manasupe's role in managing the country during the political impasse in 2012. Tributes also to the late Roger Hawofa have come from all over Papua New Guinea. Today, FM 100 aired a special talkback show in tribute to the late announcer. Listeners from all over the country called in to speak of the man they only heard on the radio. Colleagues and radio announcers who worked with him in his 50 years in radio called him the walking encyclopedia.
Roger Hawofa is a household name in PNG. Many know the familiar voice that addresses issues facing everyday Papua New Guinean on the FM 100 Talkback show.
Okay, let's go to the other line. Hello? Yes, your name please. Paul, go ahead. Talk to the minister and his team, huh?
This morning, FM 100 aired a special tribute show to the father of the Talkback show. Tributes from listeners and former colleagues of the late radio legend flooded in.
For the people, and I shared that with him. All he wanted, even when he was diagnosed at my hospital, he reached out to Prime Minister to look at providing medical facilities to our people in his condition.
The advice he gave me, number one, he said, whenever you're on air, whenever you're behind the mic, always question without fear or favor. Because you are representing those mothers out there in the rural areas. Those people out there that, can't ask the questions that you've been gifted to ask.
He was described by many as the walking encyclopedia because of his in-depth knowledge of every issue discussed on the Talkback show. His former colleague and radio announcer Patrick Patu, who was on the Talkback show to pay tribute, said that even though Roger had left big shoes to fill, he encouraged journalists to follow in his footsteps.
For me, because it's more than a friend.
Yes, more than a friend. He was a father to many of us.
Yes, he's... excuse me. I've known him for 35 years. And we both worked together as broadcasters for 35 years. And to see him go, it breaks me.
In encyclopedia, there is no doubt about that. The man is very, very knowledgeable. He's got so much information up his sleeve, and he doesn't have to refer to anything. He carries around a diary book, big diary book, and he just writes 1 or 2 lines. That's all. Everything is there.
Transparency International (PNG) today in a media statement said Roger Halfa had an important part of anti-corruption movement in PNG over the many years. Meanwhile, FM 100 colleagues described him as a great mentor.
I would like to encourage all announcers and the news editors to take up his, handmark that he left behind, each and every one of us.
By late in the morning, we fired the FM 100 up, everything was okay. By 9 o'clock, Roger was on the talkback, talking back to the nation from Loringao.
Late Roger Halfa passed away last Saturday after a long illness.
How about talkback?
Adelaide Sirks, Kari National, MTV News.
PNG Communication Workers Union President Nug Mamtirin is concerned about the effects on Telikom employees if state-owned telecommunication companies merge. Mr. Mamtirin says the government has not guaranteed jobs of nearly 500 employees, causing fear among the workforce. This would be the third week of the stop work strike.
The stop work strike by Telikom staff is now into its third week. Union spokesperson Nug Mamtirin said the 500 staff of Telikom are concerned about their job security. Mamtirin says employees are in fear of losing their jobs.
Section 6, Section 2 and Section 6 of the Parliament that governs the operation of Telecom, these people will be made redundant. This is the greatest fear right now we're having. There is no guarantee. That we cannot allow this merging because government is not giving us a guarantee whether those merging will absorb all these workers. That is nothing for us.
The union has strongly backed the Telecom staff, calling on the government to announce its plans if the merging of Telikom, Dataco and B-Mobile succeeds. Last week, Acting State Enterprise and Public Investment Minister Charles Abel said the merging is to maintain and improve services as one entity.
And the idea is to try and create a vertically integrated company that creates content and then it has the backbone and the infrastructure to drive that content through into mobile towers right down to the end user.
Minister Abel also stated that the merging is also to adapt with the change of telecommunication around the world. He said both the union and government have rights and must be exercised correctly.
The union's got certain rights, there's certain procedures to follow to exercise those rights, and the government has got certain rights, and the board has got certain rights. And it is within the board's and the government's rights to decide who is on those boards and who are the senior management of these companies. That is our right, and we exercise that right in the best interest of Telecom PNG, of Dataco, and of B-Mobile, and all the associated companies.
This stop work strike by Telecom staff follows an NEC decision to merge 3 telecommunication companies owned by the state. Jack Lapave Jr. National, MTV News.
On a positive note, Telikom customers in Mount Hagen City today replaced their old 2G and 3G SIM cards and phones for a new 4G SIM card and a smartphone. The promotion is known as the 4G Lite Mobile SIM Swap under Telikom PNG's preparation for its 4G rollout. Telikom PNG has embarked on cutting internet costs by half and increasing its data customers by providing faster and affordable internet rates.
Mount Hagen City residents turned up in numbers this morning at the Telikom Exchange office to swap their old 2G devices such as modem, fixed wireless access phone and other Telikom and Cityphone products for a new smartphone and a free 5GB SIM card. Telikom Business Development Manager Bill Wartovo said this exercise was in loyalty to their customers. Wartovo said the company is also following the new NICTA Act to register the names and identification of its customers before using them with new SIM card.
We'll go on until stock lasts. Yeah, so first come, first serve. We're here because we appreciate the loyalty of those customers who stood with us. And thereafter, then we'll start selling. But today, and this period, we're here just to launch the swap exercise.
Currently, Telikom users are using 3G and 4G networks. Wartovo said the customers can download high-definition or HD movies with their phones and watch. Data bundles can be as cheap as 2 kina for 60 megabytes for 3 days. Other provinces that have already received the network were Port Moresby, Lae, Madang, Kerema and Arawa in Buka. Mount Hagen is the first province in the highlands to roll out its swapping exercise.
And we are in the highlands now. So from here, we're going up Wabeg and Kundiava. So we'd like to make sure that we we do the swap exercise to all our customers first prior to the actual launch of the 4G network.
Meanwhile, the technical team are working tirelessly in all the provinces to make sure there's coverage before the launching and rolling out of 4G LTE network. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The illegal firearms that were surrendered in Hela province during the Clean Hela Joint Forces operation will be disposed tomorrow. Police Commissioner Gary Baki and representatives from the PNG Defence Force are expected to be present for the destruction of these weapons. The operation cost the government 11 million kina. It began in January this year with over 200 police and Defence Force personnel deployed to Hela. Over 300 guns, both factory and homemade firearms, were surrendered since. This is by far one of the biggest gun surrendering events in PNG history. The Hela call-out came following an increase in law and order issues in the province. Keys of 42 new houses were presented to families of police officers who were affected as a result of the construction of the Gerahutu 9-mile road in Port Moresby. The presentation marks the start of the relocation process for the affected families. Once the families move into their new homes, the construction of the Gerahutu 9-mile road will resume.
These new houses were erected following numerous dialogues between the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, the National Capital District Commission and China Harbour Engineering, the company contracted to build the Gerahutu 9-mile road. NCD Governor Powes Pakop explained that the delay would have cost the country 105 million kina, but fortunately China Harbour Engineering was contracted to build the houses and that saved the cost.
We saved that 105 million because we didn't keep the contractor waiting and waiting for the houses to be completed. As you all know, we have awarded the Koraway reconstruction extending to 4-lane road to China Harbour Engineering Company.
The new houses are similar to the ones the families will be moving out of and cost NCDC 40 million kina to build. Half of that money was paid by RPNGC through the sale of the old houses. Deputy Police Commissioner Administration Rafael Wafolo said the construction of the new road is an important government infrastructure.
This is a disciplined organization and welfare of our personnel is of significant importance to the morale and the well-being of our policemen so that they can actually perform to expectations.
The new houses have 3 bedrooms with ceiling fans, a big kitchen with benches, a spacious living room, and a bathroom and laundry area. Head of NCD and Central Commands, Sylvester Kalaut, acknowledged NCDC for assisting our PNGC in building the new homes. The shortage in accommodation for police officers remains a nationwide issue for the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. In 2014, the national government promised to build at least 10 houses for police officers in each district. Also in 2014, the national government partnered with the Red Sea Housing Estate and built 250 houses at Bomana. Those houses remain vacant to date due to utility issues. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
More improvements are expected to repair the iconic Kokoda track in the Northern Province. This follows an agreement between the Kokoda Track Authority and Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service. 9 rangers from Queensland will work KTA's staff to maintain key sections of the track and keep its historical significance. Tourism Minister Tobias Kulang and Queensland National Park's Stephen Miles signed the agreement in Australia recently. Kokoda Track will also celebrate its 75th anniversary this year. Students from 6 secondary schools in Port Moresby participated in the inaugural Media Education Seminar for 2017. The students learnt a number of terms associated to media and photography. The seminar was targeted at increasing students' understanding on how media can be used for positive influence on people's lives.
This seminar was conducted by the Catholic Bishops' Conference and the Stallions of Don Bosco to empower youths to use media positively. It is designed to help students understand how they can creatively and intelligently introduce their views and values to the world through the use of media. With the increase in the use of social media amongst students in Papua New Guinea, the seminar is seen as an avenue to provide some form of guideline for students. Those who participated produced posters and took photographs depicting the themes hope and trust. In the next seminar, the participants will learn about print media. The media seminars will be held on the first Saturdays of every month until August. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Despite the tough economic times, a real estate company opened a set of 6 high-end units last Saturday. Venture PNG Properties Limited said Lay's property market was forecasted to be stable before the company embarked on building the apartments, and that the company's risk checks were done according to rental property market trends in the city. The company said the units would appeal to corporate and individual clients. The property comes with essential amenities for Lay's irregular power and water supply, such as backup water tanks and a generator set, a gym and recreational facilities. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3075 $0.4026 Australian dollars, $0.2878 euro and 34.82 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, while coffee and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil closed higher, while crude oil and copra closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 2.74 points higher. The ASX is trading at 16.91 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 13.07 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back, including the Battle of Mosul as thousands flee the war-torn city. Stay with us for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, nearly 60,000 civilians have run for their lives, leaving western Mosul in Iraq since fighting intensified between government forces and the Islamic State. 10,000 alone in the last 2 days.
With the few possessions they could carry and a white flag, they trudged towards safety. Yet another group of West Mosul residents flee the fighting that engulfed their neighborhood. Battles, bombardment, and mortars, says Ahmed, explaining why they left. He said they survived on just bread and water for the last month. At the first main Iraqi checkpoint, they board army trucks. The United Nations expects as many as 250,000 people to flee Mosul as this battle continues. As they leave, they pass the austere symbols and slogans of the so-called Islamic State. Down the road at the main assembly point, truck after truck arrives with the weary and the shell-shocked, children scared and disoriented in the confusion. Others need help every step of the way, while soldiers search for the parents of lost children. We left at night at 2 o'clock, says Mohammed, adding that ISIS snipers fired at his family as they left. Wary of ISIS infiltrators, Iraqi troops quickly separate the men and boys from the women and girls. First frisking them, then checking identity cards against a database of ISIS members and sympathizers. Brigadier General Salman Hashim of the Iraqi Counterterrorism Service says every day they weed out 5 or 6 ISIS suspects. Anfal Sarhan says ISIS held her and her family as human shields. She wants revenge. 10 of my uncles they killed, she tells me. If I catch one of those rats, I'll kill them with my own hands and drink their blood. Volunteers from southern Iraq dish up plates of rice and beans, the first hot meal for many in weeks. The UN warned this battle could be a humanitarian disaster.
In Australia, doctors have accused Pauline Hanson of spouting dangerous rubbish by questioning whether children should be vaccinated. Under pressure, the One Nation leader backed down but still said it was blackmail to withhold childcare payments from parents who are against immunisation.
A bit of retail politics for Saturday's West Australian state election.
We could be mother and daughter, you know.
As Pauline Hanson tries to inoculate herself.
I'm not saying to people, don't get your children vaccinated.
From a case of political foot-in-mouth disease.
Go and talk to your doctor.
And the doctor says,
we've got to hear less of this rubbish. She is not only wrong, she's insulting when she links autism spectrum disorder to MMR vaccination.
Senator Hanson, though, still says the no jab, no pay policy withholding childcare payments to parents who don't immunise their children is blackmail, and that parents should be free to decide whether or not to vaccinate.
I think Pauline Hanson should stop reading the nutters on the internet.
And having given a spirited defence of the Sunday penalty rate cut yesterday, today, Pauline Hanson abandoned it. Her response 24 hours ago.
I think in principle, yes I do.
And now,
no.
She now says the issue needs to be debated.
It's great to be here at Peters.
At a Victorian ice cream factory 2 states away from the West Australian campaign trail.
My schedule's not taking me to Perth this week.
But his mind's there, not wanting to complicate the preference deal his Liberals have done with Pauline Hanson. He says he won't comment on personalities, just policies. And on hers?
Parents who choose not to vaccinate their children are putting their own children's health at risk.
The same view Opposition Leader Bill Shorten delivered today to Senator Hanson by letter.
The world's newest hotel opens later this week prior to having the worst view in the world. The hotel is in the West Bank city of Bethlehem, overlooking Israel's controversial barrier walls. It's the latest creation of the mystery street artist Banksy, part art gallery, part political statements.
A room with a view that no one wants to see until now. Welcome to the Waldorf Hotel in Bethlehem, right on a corner of the controversial barrier separating the Palestinian West Bank from Israel. No traditional 5-star luxury here, but plenty of political and social commentary. It's just what you'd expect from the elusive street artist known as Banksy. But why here?
Banksy never liked the walls, and he always criticized the walls, and his message is that this wall should be knocked down because the wall has 2 sides and it's not serving any of the sides.
With cherubs on oxygen and classical busts choking on tear gas, it's an ambiance meant to prod and provoke under an ever-watchful eye. Bethlehem's most famous resident hasn't been left out. Banksy's art may be worth millions, but rooms go for as cheap as $30, if you don't mind sleeping in bunks scavenged from the army. The education, though, is free.
So most hotels have a gym. This one has a museum.
And like all of Banksy's projects, this one was pulled together in utter secrecy over 14 months. And secrecy has always been key for the British graffiti artist. Although his identity remains a mystery, his work is everywhere. But unlike Banksy's temporary installations, this one is for keeps. using art in hopes of finding lasting common ground in a place that's had so little of it.
Trukai Sports is next. Details when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. MRDC Rugby Super 9's Grand Finals played yesterday, so both men and women participating for Bowl, Plate and Cup. Trophies for Best Referee and Player of the Tournament awards were also done in the evening. The main event was a strong clash between Royals and Tarangao.
It was a thrilling encounter over the weekend, with so 12 teams mixing it up. The Cup finals in the men's division saw Tarango take on Royals. Both teams were strong in defense until Jay Forova found himself a sideline gap through it to score. Before halftime, they brought the crowd to their feet with their blinding speed and creativity, which saw 2 more tries from Tarango, leading by 12 points. But the Royals didn't give up easily, with strong hit-ups gaining ground into Tarango territory. They eventually found space with their first and second try. Tarango applied more pressure and elevated for one last try, clocking 20 points to Royal 16 before full time, claiming the Cup title. The Women's Cup Finals saw all the flights with 14 points, defeating Royals on 8. Sevilla said it wasn't their first time to play in the finals and dedicated the cup trophy to their supporters back at home.
Adwag belum bila lo training no karasam dinem, bila payoff so, bila ni bila time bila kam lo grand final. Amora dia bila sa last year bila join combine one time, win one time all of flies. This year bila train strong so bila mas claiming mo sa amblo bila stress so.
Stages of the grand final draws are as follows. Jason Dom, National, EMTV Sports.
To NRL, last weekend saw the completion of round 1 of Telstra Premiership competition. A few injuries to some key players in the competition might see them out for half the season.
The first match of the season saw the Brisbane Broncos take on 2016 premiers, the Cronulla Sharks. The premiers suffered their first loss, losing 26 points to 18 against the Broncos. 2016 runners-up Melbourne Storm secured their first win in a close encounter against the Canterbury Bulldogs. Storms beat Bulldogs 12 points to 6 at Belmore Stadium. The Rabbitohs suffered their first loss after a 34-18 beating by the Tigers. This also saw Rabbitohs captain Greg Inglis carried off after suffering an anterior cruciate ligament, which may see him out of the competition for an indefinite period of time. The Dragons opened their 2017 season campaign with a big win over the Penrith Panthers. They ran riot over the Panthers in a 42 points to 10 victory.
It's a hat-trick to Joel Thompson. What a day!
2015 premiers North Queensland Cowboys beat the Canberra Raiders 20 points to 16. Raiders went into the match without skipper Jared Croker and backup hooker Kat Baptist. The Roosters 32 beat Gold Coast Titans 18 at Cibus Super Stadium on Saturday evening. The Warriors 26 edged out a win against the Knights 22, and the Eels beat the Sea Eagles 20 points to 12 in the last match of round 1. After round 1, the Dragons currently lead the competition points ladder, followed by the Tigers, Roosters, Eels and the Broncos. Elijah Levitt, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The USA 7th Series drawn to a close with the 2-time defending series champions Fiji facing off with South Africa, who were gunning for their 4th cup title in 5 tournaments. South Africa took the lead in the first 5 minutes and held on despite close comebacks from Fiji in the second half. South Africa eventually won by 19-12 to claim their 3rd consecutive USA 7 title. In the bronze playoff, host USA made history after defeating New Zealand 19-15 for the first time ever to claim the 3rd place win at home. To football, Spaniards Javi Martinez and Juan Bernat scored their first league goals of the season to give Bayern Munich a comfortable 3-0 victory in Cologne, Germany. And that on Shukai Sports, the weather details after the break.
Shukai Sports. Shukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, mostly fine today, then some showers in the evening and possible thunderstorms in Port Moresby. Mostly fine in Daru, mostly fine, then some showers in the late evening in Kerma and Alotau. And in Popondetta, mostly fine, then some rain showers this evening. In the Momase region, cloudy with early evening showers and possible thunderstorms in Leh. Cloudy periods with a shower or two and possible thunderstorms in Medang. In Wewak, mostly fine, then chance of light rain tonight. And in Vanimo, partly cloudy, then chance of afternoon showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, in Lorengau, cloudy periods with rain showers. In Kavieng, mostly fine. In Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine today, then a chance of few showers this evening. In Kimbe, cloudy periods with some showers today, and in Buka, partly cloudy. And in the Highlands region, becoming cloudy, then some rain showers this evening in Mount Hagen. And mostly fine today, then some rain showers this evening in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, to Yule Island, to Hood Point to Samaria Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait, CSE Islands to Long Island, with waters of Long Island to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape to Vanimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 1.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Samaria Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Sea slight with northeast to easterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, sea slight with northeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, sea slight with northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, sea slight to moderate with northeast winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Sir Manasupe passes on in Leh. Special talkback show in tribute to radio legend. And Mount Hagen switches to Telikom 4G. And that's the way it is, Monday 6th of March 2017. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.